So I'm standing in front of my 2006 Acura TSX. And if you're someone like me that owns one of these cars, be it an 06, 07, or 08, you're probably wondering, why doesn't it have a backup camera? This car came fully loaded, and one of those things is a navigation, which provides a large screen in the center of the dash. When I first bought this car, I went to go throw it in reverse, and I stared at the screen for 3 or 4 seconds before realizing it doesn't have a backup camera. The screen never changed. So what we're going to do today is show you, if you do have the navigation package, how you can adapt pretty much any rear view camera to this car to utilize the factory screen. So if you have an aftermarket radio, it's probably a pretty straightforward procedure. Most of those have the proper video connection, the reverse output, etc. But for me, I don't really want to put in an aftermarket radio. It works great. First of all, I like the layout of all the buttons and everything. It has a lot of things integrated into it, and so most of the aftermarket stuff, I just really don't like the look of it. And this car is also stock, so I'd really like to keep it that way. So again, what we're going to do is I'm going to go through the parts list that you need. I'll provide links and etc. on that. We'll talk about that in just a second, and then we'll walk through the step-by-step on how to make this work. I think it's going to be, hopefully it works, but I also think it's going to be a really great add to this car. It doesn't seem like it's 20 years old, but it could use a couple of things, and one of those is definitely the backup camera. So let's check out what we need. So let's go ahead and check out some of the stuff that I ordered to make this work, or what I hope will make this work. So first up, the rear view camera. So I bought this on Amazon for 25-30 bucks. I'll post a link in the description, but it's advertised as a MDX, TSX, maybe a few other models backup camera, and the specific thing about it is it actually replaces one of the covers for the light on the license plate. So let's check it out. So we've got some basic instructions. We'll take a look at that, although I don't know how much we'll need these based on what we're trying to do. We've got our power cable. Looks like this probably connects RCA, etc. Quite long. Gasket, which this will make sense in a second. Zip ties and various connectors. And then of course, camera itself. So like I said, this replaces the cover on the back of the car. So you can see this is a plastic housing, and then on the bottom of it is the camera itself. So this will sit on the back of the car. Had pretty good reviews, so we'll see what it does. So again, we've got camera, real small cable to put through the back, connects to this end. The rest of it, the RCA, zip ties, gasket, etc. So let's set that off to the side. So the other few things that I needed to make this work was I went ahead and picked up, there's probably a few different ways you could do this, but just these quick female RCA connectors. So just put the wires in here and then tighten it down with a small screwdriver. So this is how we'll make the connection, like that. Real simple. This is what I'm going to start to use to test it. I don't know, I might use a better connector at the end. We'll see. But for now, I figured this was cheap enough. So got these on Amazon, 2-pack. There are different cameras available that may have a male or female end, and these are available in both. So just take a look to see what you need. And the last and most important piece is, as I mentioned, it's an 06, and we have navigation. So we have the connector on the back of the navigation DVD unit, and I was able to find this exact 7-pin connector for the back of that unit. So we'll use this, and it came with, of course, pins to wire this up. So this is, again, is a direct connect. I found this on eBay with the pins. I want to say it was 10 bucks maybe. And I think for 20 bucks you can get some pins with, I don't know, maybe 6-8 inch pigtails. But I went ahead and just got the bare pins, and we'll wire this up ourselves. So we've got the connector, pins, female RCA, and then of course the camera kit. I'll show you that once again. The cover in the back. I liked this look. Obviously I don't have to drill into anything, put any screws in the bumper or the trunk, and it seems like it's, you know, still pretty discreet, but looks like it could be a factory option, which is kind of what we're going for here. So now you guys know what we have. I'll put descriptions, links, and all this in the description. Let's go ahead and try to start the install. Okay, so step one, I just want to show you guys. This is the factory dash with the navigation option. I'm not sure what size this screen is, maybe like 4x8 or I don't know, 5x7 or something. Anyhow, it's a fairly large screen in the center of the dash. It's pretty common for new cars, but 20 years old, I'll take it. Anyways, let's go check the trunk and I'll show you what you need to have back there to make this work. So pop the trunk. Okay, so with the navigation package in the back here, you'll see there is actually a DVD drive. So this is what is utilized for the navigation. It's quite a different system now, but back in the day, if you will, there's actually a DVD in there, and you would actually have to update new DVDs. On the back side here, and it's going to be really hard to see, so I'll be sure to put a picture up. But there's a few connections on the back, and again, it's way too dark here, but there's a green connector that is actually empty on the back of this. And that's the connector that we had in our parts list that we'll use to make a jumper wire for this. So let's go ahead and get started with that connector, making our pinouts, and then we'll mount the camera. Okay, so again, we've got our 7-pin connector. This lock release on the top, this is what it looks like facing into the back of the player. So slot 1 will be the left and slot 7 will be the right. And so the first thing we need to do is make a jumper harness that's going to go from 6 to 7. And what this will do is this just tells the screen up front that when the car is in reverse, to switch over to the audio input of this connector. So we just need to make a quick jumper. If you bought the harness that already has this, that already has the pigtails, you can just simply run a quick connection between these two pins, or the two pins you have, and then just put them in there. Since I bought the pins separate, I'll have to make the harness real quick. So we'll take 2 of these pins off of here. It's a pretty simple job. And we really just need to do, you know, a short 180 between the pins, so this doesn't have to be crazy, although it's a little bit thicker wire, so we'll just cut that and trim the edge off that. And so the idea here again is that we're just going to make a quick jump. So let's trim some of this back. This wire is probably thicker than what I really need for this. I think you can get away with probably 18 gauge is probably fine. I'm not sure what size wire this is. If you're like me, I've got a bucket of wire over here of just random odds and ends that I've had for a while. So anyways, we got those 2. And then I've got a pair of crimpers here. If you don't have something like this, you can try to just use a pair of pliers, I guess. But I use these all the time. I got them on Amazon for, I don't know, 20 bucks or something. So first we'll slide this guy in here like so. Match it up on our crimper. Let's see here. Try slot A first. Nope. Too small. Crimp that end. Secondary. And the same with the far end. There's actually 2 little crimping pieces on here. So we'll get that. Okay, perfect. So if you guys can see that. There's one end. And then we're literally just going to do the same thing for the other side. So now we've got our jumper wire. Again, if you have a little bit thinner wire, this probably goes a little bit easier. And then when you look in the connector, there's a little ridge on the bottom. And so these pins have a spot open on the bottom, so you want to slide them in that way. So again, 6 and 7 are connected here. Just a jumper.
And once that goes in, it appears as though it locked in place. So hopefully, hopefully we have enough room here with all this wiring. I'm going to try to squeeze these a little closer. Okay, perfect. So that is step one for the jumper harness. Next, we're going to go ahead and wire up what we need for slots. Let's see here, 2 and 5, and that's going to be connected to our audio. So let's get that set up. All right, so on to step 2. I showed you guys earlier I bought these female RCA connectors. Again, they just slip right on here. So on an RCA, you've got one connection here in the center and one on the outside. So the center is going to be our video connection, and the outside being a ground. On these connectors that I bought, there's a positive and a negative. So the negative is ground, and positive is your video. And I double checked it with voltmeter just to make sure that that's what we have. So we need to make a harness that goes from this RCA to our connection on the DVD player. So I just have some 16 gauge. This is actually just some speaker wire that's sitting around. So let's go ahead and strip both ends. We'll add a connector, and then we'll have our small little jumper harness. So we'll trim these back like so. And again, we're just building a harness to go from the camera to the back of the DVD player. So just as before we did with the jumper harness, I've got 2 here. If you bought pre-made, you'll have to connect them however you want. You can add a second connector. I guess if you want to do butt connectors, you could do that as well. So we'll go ahead and crimp this on. I like to use crimp connectors on any possible. I'm not a big fan of soldering things. They eventually seem to come loose, and unlike home speaker and stuff, it's probably not a big deal. It's probably what a lot of people do. When it comes to my car, you've got constant vibration from racing and stuff, so we've always been told that crimping things is the way to go. So, and obviously this is a basic crimping tool. There's way more steps above this, but this works for what we're doing. So one end will have your 2 connectors that will go into this connector, and then the other end we'll go ahead and split this off and put it into the RCA. This dude's stuck. Well, there we go. So split that. Don't need too much. Trim the ends. Okay. This wire has a white stripe on it, so I don't remember which is which, but for the sake of how I have this set up, we'll do the white stripe just because of how this connector is going to go in here into slot 5, so that's going to be the video. So we're going to do, on my setup, the white stripe to the positive. And it even came with this tiny little screwdriver. So we'll open that up. I don't know if you guys can see that, sorry. It just loosens here. And then you just push your wires into those openings. It's kind of spring loaded, so you gotta push them in there. And then take your screwdriver and just lock it back in place. Again, these connections, I mean, you can get whatever you are most comfortable with. I figured since we're testing this out, I'd try these, see how it works. Let's tighten those down, they're good. So we've got a good connection. So again, now we've got our female RCA, positive, negative, to 2 connections. Positive video side is going to go into slot 5, right next to the rest of our other stuff. Make sure I get that in on camera for you guys. So that one goes in there. We can get it started. There we go. And then at the same time, our ground is going to go into slot 2. So slide that in there, push them in, and they'll click into place. There we go. You'll hear them click. If you didn't hear it on there, it clicks. And, you know, always just make sure you've got it properly seated. So, kind of elementary, crude looking. There's not much to it. Maybe I'll put some heat shrink over this later. But for testing purposes, this is the adapter we're making. So, one last time, ground from your RCA in slot 2. Slot 5 is your video on the RCA. And then slots 6 and 7 are looped together. And that just tells the navigation screen to kick over to the video input when you have it in reverse. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll set this aside, and our next step is going to be mounting the camera. So let's take a look at that. All right, so here again is our camera and our license plate light mount. So you can see it's going to sit up in there. I'm going to mount it on the driver's side, so it's a bit more centered, because if we were to put it over here, it's kind of offset. I've seen people put the cameras over here where they drill them in, or even center, but I think we're going to try it right here and see how it looks. So we need to get this cover out and access to that, so then we can run our camera and wire. So first thing we need to do is get the back carpet off. Now, this is my first time working on this car, but it looks like it's just a number of plastic clips to hold that in. So if you have one of these interior tools, it's going to make the job a lot easier. I've got a handful of these plastic tools that I've bought. Again, I think I got these on Amazon for, I don't know, 15 bucks or something. It was a whole 5 or 6 tools. So let's go ahead and get all those connections off and get that carpet out of the way and see what we've got access to. And it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this might be missing one. And then that actually looks like a screwdriver. So I don't know what you'll have. Could be different. When you get into these older cars, you know, people will mess with stuff, and who knows what they use. But if you don't have one of these tools, you can try using like 2 screwdrivers, but it definitely makes it a lot easier. And it's one of those tools that you don't think you need, but once you have one, you realize you use it a lot more, and it's great. As you can see, it's making pretty quick work of this. And then, like I said before, I don't know why this one is a Phillips screwdriver. I don't know if they come like that or if someone replaced it, but let me grab a screwdriver and do that too. If you have this style, you just use a screwdriver real lightly on the center. Once the screw is loose, you can just pop it right out. Be sure not to lose these. And let's see if we can get this to come off. Missed one on the side. This one's a screwdriver also. And then there's one on the other side, of course. Perfect. Okay, so in total, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I believe it's 9 screws that hold those on, little plastic screws. Let's try that again. Okay, yeah. This is just falling out now. This, we have to just... Looks like it does just pop out. There we go. Slide over that. Same here. Just slide the carpet over these. There is a handle here. I don't feel anything. If you're real, just be careful with it, and you can slide it over the body of that plastic handle. Okay, so we'll set that aside. So on the back side, you can now see that clear connection. So we need to take the wiring harness clip out, And then it looks like we should be able just to squeeze this plastic and be able to get the rest of it out. So I'm going to do that. And once I get it out, I'll show you guys with the piece off, and it might make a little more sense. So let me set this down and do that real quick. Okay, so here is the piece you saw with the bulb in it. And actually, it looks like the bulb in mine might be blown. So I have to replace that. Here's the connector. You just squeeze the little top piece and it slides out of the back of this. And then this is actually sitting up in the back of the car. And if you squeeze both sides like this, this will pop out as well. So all that's left is the actual clear cover, and that is the piece that we are replacing that has the camera attachment. To get that out, there's a piece on the back side right here that will squeeze to get this to pop out, but it appears as though it comes out this way, and to do so, we need to take this trim off. So that's the next step. And again, those tools I mentioned are probably going to come in handy with this. So let's do that next. So I've got another small tool here. Hopefully you guys can see that. We're going to try to use this to pry that plastic piece off and out of the way. I'm going to start here in the corner. See if we can get this to... There we go. So start in the corner, just kind of gently pry across the top here. This actually is coming out pretty easy. It's not too bad. Maybe it's been out before. I don't know. So once you get, looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 2 clips on the outside and 2 on the inside. Once those are out, you kind of bend this a little bit to pull the little pieces out from here. Now it's catching on my license plate, so you might have to angle it a little bit. Just be careful. It is thin plastic. As I say that, I'm like nervously trying not to break anything. That might be enough to get this out. I'm going to try to squeeze from the inside. Yeah. So on the if you're doing the driver's side, on the inner side of it, just push that in. And then there is a little gasket. And just like that, we pulled it out so you guys can see. That's the factory one. Let me grab. And then here's the camera. So factory and camera. So we'll need to put a gasket on it so that way we're not leaking into that and get this piece in. So let me see how this is going to work. I think we'll have to feed it up through there. Yeah. Let's grab that gasket. Get that on there first. The gasket piece that's provided in the kit. Just need to punch out this center. I don't believe we'll need it for any reason. Set that aside. Grab this piece. And it is not symmetrical, so make sure you set it on there properly like so. So we'll take one side of this off. Push the gasket onto clear. Just push it on there enough to get the adhesive to stick. And I just realized that this was probably supposed to go. There's a little hole here for this to go through. So let me see if I can pull this up just ever so gently. And we'll feed the camera wire through there, hopefully. This is what happens when you try to film all at the same time while doing this for the first time. Oh well, all part of it, I suppose. I'm going to take this other piece off just because it's in the way. So do that first, not after like me. Okay. And now we're going to feed the wire up through the hole and then put our piece back in. So I didn't take this trim all the way off. I'm going to attempt to do this. I'm going to feed the wire through the hole in the car in the trunk first. And I think what I'm going to have to do is push the camera through the bottom. So pull that plastic piece down, kind of slide the camera through. Make sure your wire's all the way in. And then once you have it started, kind of guide everything at once. Get our trim piece back. It seems pretty solid, though my gasket came down. So let's try that again. Okay, I think we've got it. It seems like it's in place. It just kind of snapped in pretty easy. I'm wondering if this screw on my license plate is causing the issue here. Let me grab a screwdriver and take that out. I might have to replace it with something thinner. When I looked at the kit, I was worried that might be, it might run into that screw. Oops. It doesn't feel like it popped into place, to be honest. I think it's in there now. Actually, no, I don't think we're in there. Let's try that again. I think it's just the adhesive that's holding it, to be honest with you. Look at that factory one again. Yeah, there's a tiny, if you guys will be able to see it, there's a tiny little lip right there that must slide in between the sheet metal. And then once that's in, it'll clip in. So you got to make sure you get that right. The gasket's kind of thick, and I think with that screw being there, it was kind of in the way. So let's try this again. Yeah, it's definitely the thicker gasket, so it might fight you a little bit when it comes to that. I think taking this trim piece off would probably be ideal, but then I can't get to the camera, so kind of have to wonder if the wire is causing a problem. There we go. Did you guys hear that click? Now I know it's in place. So you got to make sure that wire is right where it needs to be, and then it just clips into place. Okay, so now we can put our trim back on. Yeah, that new gasket's just a lot thicker, so to get that piece to slide in and then push it up at the same time. So, okay, cool. I will have to probably get a different screw because I'm not really sure I'm going to get that other screw back in there. I don't think it's going to fit. This is a really large. Yeah. I'll have to do that afterwards, so don't worry about that. All right. I'm going to leave the carpet off of this for now until we get everything wired up. So let's go ahead and start running our wires and getting everything test connected. Okay, so here's the extremely long harness. This end is going to connect to our camera. It's got a little notch in it, so it can only go one way. So we're going to connect that there. You've got two wires coming off here. You've got this black wire. That goes to our RCA, which is in my right hand. And then the other wire is actually two wires. You've got your power and ground for the camera itself. And actually, we're going to power this with the reverse light, which we've got here. So we'll end up tapping into this probably somewhere up along here. That way this can be shortened and tucked up here underneath the carpet. You won't ever see it. And then for the RCA, we'll run it along the same wire and then down through the trunk lid. We'll make sure we've got plenty of extra slack. And then we'll zip tie it along the back here and connect it into the DVD player. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of just test connect everything, make sure it works, and then we'll go back through and, clean it all up and make it look good. So we'll take our jumper harness, connect it to our RCA, and once this is finalized, I'll probably put some tape over this because this could come loose pretty easily. Let me grab a light and I'll show you guys what it looks like on the back side of there so you can tell where to plug this in. But it should be pretty straightforward if you look at the back of it. Okay, so I'm laying here in the trunk, and this is the back of the DVD player. And you can see right there, that's your empty connector. And that's your giveaway if this is even possible. So you need to make sure you have that before you even start any of this. So let's grab our wire from our RCAs and our jumper harness. Sorry, this wire is extremely long, which is good because normally you'd be running this stuff up to the front of the car with an aftermarket radio, so they give you quite a bit. So we'll take our jumper or our harness. Sorry if I lose focus here for a second, but plug that in. Okay, so we've got that plugged in. Again, I'm leaving everything just kind of hanging here so we can test it out, but once it's done, we'll get this all nice and cleaned up. You won't even know that anything like this is going on. So, all right, let's jump back to the outside and get some power going, and then we'll test it. Okay, so we've got power for the camera right now just connected to the license plate light. We will end up connecting to the reverse light here on the driver's side and running that through there. But for now, just testing purposes, we've got that connected. And then we've got our harness to the navigation box. So let's go jump inside the car and see what we've got here. So it's dinging because I've got the lights on already, but turn this on. Let's see, get the navigation going. And okay. Try that again. Okay, so let's just toss it in reverse, and there we go. Perfect. I mean, that's my garage roof. Wow. It worked. That is killer. I didn't think it was going to be that easy to wire this up. So let's go ahead and get the wires ran how they're supposed to be. I'll show you guys how I run them, clean it up a little bit. But that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And it looks like it works. So I'm interested to see when the trunk's back down what kind of view we have. So I'll show you guys that once I get everything wired and tucked away. So let's get back to the back of the trunk and we'll go ahead and get that cleaned up and put everything back. I also did want to mention real quick before I forget about it. On a lot of these, I don't know if it's always off the RCA connection, but you see this red wire here. This is per the instructions used for the reverse trigger to tell the signal to come through. But since we're not using an aftermarket unit, we're using the factory unit, and we did that jumper wire, that's telling the signal. So we actually won't use this, so I will just fold it up out of the way and probably just put some tape on it. But for our purposes and using the factory unit, we will not need this. So just wanted to let you guys know. All right, so here is the back of the navigation system, our little harness. I just ran the wire up. Put some tape around the connection so it doesn't come loose, and then just zip tied it to this loom that runs across the back here for the rest of the lights. And I'm kind of close, and then I just tucked it back behind this panel. There was a ton of extra wire, so it's all just sitting back there. So let me change the angle real quick and I'll show you from another view. So we've got our RCA up there, runs along the back, and then tucks back behind there. I just taped it to the loom that's there. And then I took this little connector out to get access back here, and I zip tied the bulk of the extra wiring, because again, this would be going all the way to the front, but it's not. And so then on the back side of this arm, this plastic piece, I don't know if we'll be able to see, but the factory wiring for the lights runs in here. You can see a little better. I tucked it in here real nice, and then it pops out here. Now I gave it a little extra here, so when the carpet's on it, it'll tuck up. But there's our connector, and then that just runs on the back side of this and up to there. This, I'll connect the bulb back in. I need to go run to the parts store and grab a bulb, and they're closed, so I'll do that later. But anyways, all that's left now is to shorten this wire, and then we will reluctantly T-tap it into here. And once that's done, that should work. So let's get the last bit of wire in. We'll double check the camera, and we should be set. All right, there's the connectors on the reverse light. Again, I'm not a big fan of these, but we'll go ahead and use them here. So I just ran this power wire down with the rest, and then you can kind of see where this wire kind of snakes into here. So at this point, everything's done. I just need to put the carpet back on the back, but I will do that after I get a new bulb for that. So that's pretty much as far as that goes. So let's do one final check, make sure everything's working, and that should do it. So let's go check that out now. Okay, we're back in the car for the final test. Let's key on navigation. That pop up. I've got it sitting here in park. So our navigation system. Come on. There we go. Okay, so reverse. And there's my messy garage. So right now those lines are on the screen. They don't move with the steering wheel like, you know, a new car might. And on the harness, there is a white wire that you can actually cut, and it will remove those lines. Doesn't seem to really bother me much. And there's a straight on view. So from my angle, it looks a little crooked, but no. That seems pretty good. It might be hard to tell from my camera, but the resolution's actually not bad for an older screen, and it looks really good. Like I said, it's kind of hard to tell from the camera view, but sitting here in the car, the resolution's good. All I really wanted was something to be able to see what's behind me. I wasn't looking to see, like, you know, an ant walking across the driveway. I need to see if there's a child behind me or another car or something I'm going to back into. So this really updated the car and what we've got going on. So if you haven't had a chance, check out this video if you have a weird noise from under the hood. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys. Plenty of content on my race car, as well as stuff we got going on with the daily and any other fun rides. So thanks for checking it out, and we'll check you on the next one.